Good morning. A little louder. Good morning. Okay. I'm Lillian Fifield, and I'm your service leader for today. And I want to welcome you to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation if you're here for the first time. Do know that we do practice safe COVID policies. So we ask that you remain in your mask, and of course that anyone you bring is fully vaccinated and also wearing a mask. We have a little surprise for today, I think. Looking around for Megan, are you here? Huh? Oh, but you're here. We still have a wonderful surprise. In celebration of spring, Easter, Ramadan, and Passover, we're having a parade. And will you lead us off? We need a little music. Could we spontaneously get some of that? And if you got a hat, don't be shy. We're just going to parade around the entire congregation. And do so safely. Well, if you're watching live, of course, it was probably very obvious that that was spontaneous. We hope you enjoyed it. We did. It was a spur-of-the-moment kind of thing. So on with our service. Our service presenter today is Michelle Avonte, not unknown to us and always a favorite. She's a certified minister, a metaphysician, a certified astrology professional, and an award-winning author and professional artist, and I'll probably tell you a little more about her later. Her topic is Chrysalis, Seeing the Light When We Fear All Is Darkness. So that sounds quite interesting to me. Much appreciation every Sunday goes to our staff, our media people, our music people, and those who lead us. And too often, I get up here and get excited, and I forget to say that. But we've had new people come on board, and it's like they've been here for years. So, Jake Tranter, Sean Shea, there you are. Thank you both for all that you have contributed since you have arrived here with us. First thing we're going to do today is support our favored organization that helps feed our community, and that is fish. Our congregation has been supporting fish with donations of money and food for many, many years. And we look forward again to when we can be out in the public in front of a grocery store collecting on a Saturday as much food as people will possibly donate. But for now, it comes in the form of baskets, and I'll be bringing them to you. I got a couple of kids that want to help. A couple of young people. Start right here and let it go down, back, and back.
Here you are, little girl.
Thank you. Thank you for filling up that basket. As prices go up, when food gets more expensive, know that your donations are greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Thanks. Each service we begin by lighting our chalice with some words, and I'm going to light that chalice now. Our words this morning to reflect on as we've lit that chalice are, in times of darkness, we stumble toward the tiny flame. In times of cold, we seek the warming fire. In times of repression, we reach for the lamp of truth. In times of loss, we pray for the comforting light. In times of joy, we light a candle of celebration. In spirit of life, as we have kindled this light, help us find what we need this day. Opening words for our service today are entitled On Hope and Love in a Time of Struggle. In a world so filled with brokenness and sorrow, it would be easy to lose ourselves in never-ending grief, to be choked by our outrage, to be paralyzed by the enormity of suffering, and to feel our hearts squeezed tight with hopelessness. Instead, this morning, let us simply breathe together as we hold our hearts open. Nice, deep breaths. Breathe together. And we now have, there is a river flowing in my soul. Please join.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. River flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. Flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. Flowing in my soul. Yeah. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
That was called the early fade out that didn't happen. However, we get to sing again, number 413, because we get to sing the children downstairs with Go Now in Peace. And we have some children. And go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. I'm enchanted with the little one wearing the hat that just is about to threaten to. At this time in our service, we call it the Circle of Life. It's an opportunity to share your joys, concerns, a special event happening in your life with the rest of us. The mic will be available for those who want to share their joy and concern out loud. There will be candles available to be lit. And if you want to keep your joy or concern to yourself and light a candle, please feel free, just don't take the microphone. If you're sitting on this side of the sanctuary, I'd appreciate it if you begin to come across from that direction, and then we'll do the other part of the sanctuary also. Please give us your name.
Give your morning something to celebrate with Taco Bell's new $5 Bell Breakfast Box.
Thank you. And now we come to that part of the service where we pass the basket and collect pledges and other offerings to this congregation, our UUUC. So know that any gifts that you are able to give us are most appreciated. Slight pause. There are also pens and pencils and envelopes in here if you need to label your donation or write pledge on your check. No, we are most grateful for your donations, and they will be put to good work. And please let us continue with Sean Shea and Underground River.
Feel free to sing along on the chorus, especially if you would like. The words to this are in your program.
Flowing under the ground, there's a stream of elixir from the ocean of sound. You can tap into the current if you dig deep down in your soul. Be still and let it flow into your vessel. Refill your thirsty reservoir with essence of your soul. There is a river flowing under the ground. There's a stream of elixir from the ocean of sound. You can tap into the current if you dig deep down in your soul. Listen, if you're silent, you can hear it. This is the whispered secret of the Spirit. In your soul there is a river flowing under the ground. There's a stream of elixir from the ocean of sound. You can tap into the current if you dig deep down in your soul. Water, when it is still, is like a mirror. Gather your scattered wits and you'll see clearer. In your soul there is a river flowing under the ground. There's a stream of elixir from the ocean of sound. You can tap into the current if you dig deep down in your soul. Enter into the stillness of the moment. Be present for the beautiful unfoldment of your soul. There is a river flowing underground. There's a stream of elixir from the ocean of sound. You can tap into the current if you dig deep down in your soul. In your soul. In your soul. Dig deep down in your soul.
Sean, would you introduce your partner?
Yes, this is my lovely wife, Susie. Thank you for joining me.
I wanted to say personally what a privilege and joy it is to have Sean Shea with us. But I never imagined we would get his lovely wife and such incredible, beautiful music written and played by Sean Shea. So if you enjoyed what you just heard and have been enjoying him, he will be our featured speaker, presenter next week. And I understand there's going to be lots more music. At this time, however, we have a very, very wonderful treat for you. It is Michelle Avonte back with us. And for those of you who have been watching Michelle over the period that we were locked down and on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you found us, you know what a deep thinker she is. And I shared a little bit of her credentials earlier, but what I didn't stress was that she also holds 2 fine arts degrees in art and photographic illustration. She's a graphic artist, a professional photographer, and a fine artist. But you know, she says her first love is just capturing beauty. So would you welcome, please, Michelle Avonte, speaking about chrysalis and seeing the light when we fear all is darkness. Michelle?
Let's see. Wear the glasses or not wear the glasses? Always a question for me. Hopefully, we'll be able to see. Today, we find ourselves in a world where what we have depended on and considered secure is shifting. Like a great ship in a terrible storm, finding balance is challenging everyone on this planet. We are now in the switchback of a great transformation. This is a moment in the history of this planet that we have waited for and have been trained for. For centuries, human consciousness has been evolving, a very slow but consistent process. From the time of Roman rule to the Dark Ages, to the Renaissance, to the time of Enlightenment, to the Revolutionary years, and then to the Industrial Revolution, and now to the Information Age. We have had many major shifts, each one opening a new view of what is possible, each taking humanity a step closer to understanding the value of every being on this planet. But some in the past, more powerful than in this moment. But none have ever been more powerful than the moment we're in right now, as we are at the footstool of the Dog Star, the once in 26,000 year place in our solar system's orbit, which offers us the greatest opportunity for an enormous leap in consciousness. Let us view this process through the cycles of the caterpillar, a being that goes through such a tremendous metamorphosis that when complete, they no longer appear to be the same creature at all. For it is at this precipice that we now stand. Like the caterpillar who is born with a drive to fill himself with food, the consciousness of humanity has sought to fill itself with the foods offered by life on planet Earth. This consciousness grows, and each time it shifts, like the caterpillar, it must shed the skin it has outgrown, thus finding itself in a whole new skin, often one that looks nothing like the one before. But there comes a time in the life of the caterpillar where it has reached the full potential of the body that crawls on one plant. At that moment, something beyond the understanding of the caterpillar takes over. The body dissolves and forms a shell. At first, the shell is soft, and then it hardens. The caterpillar disappears into a dark space. It suddenly has no contact with its former reality. It has no more legs to crawl or jaws to eat or even eyes to see. It is now in complete transition. In this dark space, there are key elements that the caterpillar likely had no idea were there when it crawled about. These cells, called imaginal discs, hold the information to create a new body, completely unlike the one that formed the chrysalis. Considering the metaphysical key, as above, so below, we can note how human consciousness follows a similar transformative process. We now appear to be in one of the darkest moments in human history, and we can only imagine breaking free to fly into a world where the good in humanity overwhelms the desire for power and wealth. Focusing on the expansion of consciousness for humanity is only focusing on the macrocosm, but this rite of passage requires us to focus on the microcosm, ourselves. It is the incremental changes made in each individual that creates the outcome of the whole. We cannot simply look out to see the change because we are the change happening inside this dark globe we call chrysalis. Each human being is like a cell inside the caterpillar as it's transforming. We are part of the goo that will make up the new consciousness. Some of us are part of the imaginal discs that have a strong knowing of the next step. Others need to awake to their purpose in this transformational experience. Darkness is a state of creation. It is the womb of the universe where all things are born. It is said that there is a great blast in space, a big bang, when a new solar system is born. It occurs with light and sound. So too is the birth of consciousness. It manifests from a place of darkness, which then bursts forth with light and sound. Light is the electrical process of the brain thinking. Sound is the voice activated by the brain's light. Our thoughts turn to speech. Viewing the world through words has always required fine perception to identify what is truth and what is not. In a simple conversation, we may find ourselves wondering, did they mean what they just said? Are they speaking truth? Or are they driven to say something because something is motivating them to distort, mislead, or simply lie? To speak is to activate the soul's ability to manifest in this world. It is the breath that moves through the body, activated by the electrical force of the mind, that gives voice to the power of soul. Perhaps you have not considered the power of your own voice, though I am certain everyone has experienced the response, whether praise or protest, to the words you uttered. Words strung together create a message, and when spoken aloud or in writing through any form of media, they have the power to direct and even control masses. Never in the history of this planet has the power of breath, which I call the manifestation wind of God, become available to the majority. Since ancient times, it has been reserved for those with money, education, and media control. But today, anyone who has access to the internet now has this power. This is the first layer of shift that has been activated. It is a shift that challenges reality as we have experienced it for centuries. No longer does the tiny fraction of humanity have sole control of the voice on the planet. This is a relief for many, for all those who have sought freedom. But it is terrifying for those who have come to rely on the voice, one voice, to tell them what to do, what is right, what is not. This segment of society have not been given the opportunity to learn and understand how to use their own minds to separate truth from fiction. This ability we call critical thought eludes those deeply steeped in obedience to people in authority. These individuals feel this shift at a visceral level and cry for someone who will direct their lives because they have given up their power for millennia. Thus, as this shift takes place, they choose autocratic rule rather than democratic rule. Under autocratic rule, the individual gives their power to one person, relieving themselves of any responsibility to make complicated choices in their society. This is how it was in early tribes: safe, easy, and it is a very low level of consciousness. The fear of taking responsibility for everything we do or say is overwhelming to those who have lived lives blaming others for all that is wrong or perceived wrong on our planet, in our government, and in our communities. This shift is a transition to a place where we must have the courage to point a finger at ourselves. 7 years ago, on January the 7th, 2015, an act of violence in Paris against the French cartoonist Charlie Hebdo created the outcry, "I am Charlie." identifying each person as one with the cartoonist, one with a cry for freedom of speech. Though most who voiced it or heard it did not recognize the shift in this slogan, it was not simply a defiance of violence against freedom of speech, but it activated awareness of a deeper metaphysical spiritual truth, that we, all of us, are one. We are each other. We are of the same source, and all of creation is interconnected. I am is the key to the ancient Lakota words, Matakeyasin, which translates to all my relations. It is the basis of understanding we are not separate, but part of all creation. The statement of I am Charlie reactivated a direct channel in our human psyches to the truth we knew when first we came to the world of physicality. We are all connected. We are the I am. That was 7 years ago. The number of energized change, the number of creation. I believe it was our moment moving from caterpillar to chrysalis. So what had happened in your life since then to activate the rebirth of who we are? 2015 began an overt test of our ability to recognize truth. Leaders of this nation began giving us the gift of alternative facts. All the issues of class differences in a nation that claimed to strive for equality and justice for all rose into sight in every area of life, from wealth and race to gender and lifestyle. The most hidden and repressed issues of our society suddenly stood clearly before us. Then, the pandemic exposed our need for each other. It made us more aware of how important people we will never meet are in our lives. People who grow and pick our food all over the world, and those who transport it to us. So many sequences of our connections rose into sight because of our needs for sustenance. It reminded us of our need for each other. Now, as the chrysalis hardens and the darkness of the great fear of nuclear war is tossed about the media's powerful word salad, we see stark differences between autocracy and democracy. Together, we are witnessing the world choosing sides, nations deciding what they are willing to give up to save the democracy and freedoms of a nation under siege. As in World War II, humanity must once more choose to help or choose to look away from the genocide of a people. Will all humanity stand together and say, I am Ukraine? How deeply will this channel opening of I am resonate? What new world will be born of the chrysalis of this time? Look at your life. Look at your world. How have you changed over the last 7 years? Are you living in fear of what may happen next? Do you find yourself focusing on the many apocalyptic scenarios in your own life, your community, and in the world at large? Or are you choosing to focus on the emergence of the butterfly? In the last 7 years, we have been a part in this shift. We have been forced to make difficult choices, masks and vaccines only the most obvious ones. We have been forced into judging or being judged by people we love. We have come face to face with blaming, shaming, and all the feelings of guilt. There has been blame for not acting soon enough, not focusing on the right action, or not taking action at all. The issues of denial have come front and center, denying what we see happening on our own device screens, denying that the words we hear people in positions of power say are really being said by them. The degree of illusion that has been created since 2015 is phenomenal when compared to any other time in history. As some people have chosen to believe the illusion, others see through it. But this divide creates so many issues, and we have to find new ways of overcoming them. Can we blame another for believing something that we know beyond a doubt is false? Should we blame them? If we are one and we are them, and thus there is no divide, then how do we learn to undo belief in falsehoods? We must understand that all consciousness seeps through. It leaves an imprint once enough people reach a clear, unwavering level of understanding. That understanding pervades all humanity. This is why you are so important. Why your thoughts and words are so important. This breath that comes from the center of your being, electrified by your mental input, and then formed into language by the actions of your mouth, teeth, and tongue, is an act of God. It has power. It is so much more than words. Back in 1928, a very wise woman, Florence Scovel Shinn, understood this power. She wrote several books, one titled, "Your Word is Your Wand." Remember this title. It will help you realize the magical power you hold with every word you speak. Because as you speak, you command the universe to act. If each day we all spoke words of peace, we would see peace prevail. If we all spoke words of compassion, we would see compassion prevail. We must take this in just as we drink water. We must allow every fiber of our bodies to understand this power we have. Together we can change the world. We will change the world. We are changing the world. It's time to stop allowing ourselves to be sucked into the tunnel of darkness created by fear. If we want to break the chrysalis, we must recognize and take responsibility for our own personal manifestation process. It does not mean we should ignore all that is taking place in the world. But how do we do this? Practice. Since the spring of 2015, the practice given to me from the spiritual beings that I have worked with all my life has been watch the news and practice love. Give that a try. Practice compassion. Do not allow fear or its dominions of hate and anger to rile you. Do not allow fear to rattle your brain, releasing the electrical power to your breath. Breathe in the light and adjust your frequency to love. Let it rise in your being. Feel it fill you from your heart center to your mind, and know all things are perfect no matter how they appear. You are all you see and all you hear. So be the love you choose to see, and recognize that the destruction you see is part and parcel of what is needed to awaken humanity to make change. It has a perfection that is what soul sees. We must see our world through the eyes of soul. When we do, this will speed the process from chrysalis to butterfly. So look into your experiences of the last 7 years, especially the fasten your mask of the last 2. In what areas have you survived? And in what areas have you thrived? Are you now in a position to see others with compassion? Have you discovered that being right is wrong? Being right closes all minds. Being wrong is immersed with blame, shame, and guilt. We must be together to find the solutions that will make all beings thrive. We must go beyond these ancient paradigms and shift to knowing we are one. We must step up to love. We cannot break free of the chrysalis till we realize and respond to soul's understandings of the pitfalls of the linear mind. Our ego needs to move from personal me to I am. Our hearts need to move from guilt, blame, shame, and resentment to compassion. Is this a bridge too far? If we take just moments each day to practice seeing the world through soul's infinite view, ego wanes and compassion waxes. It is a practice we each can take. This practice moves the darkness. It activates imaginal discs. It gives us the vision to make the seemingly impossible manifest. Please put this in your calendar and use the powerful light and sound of your voice to speak it loudly every day. I am butterfly. Become an imaginal disc actively participating in shifting this world. When you find yourself judging, blaming, shaming, or feeling these things are being placed on you, stop. Breathe in deeply, divine spirit, and say, I am butterfly. Together we can break the chrysalis and fly free. If you think you are just one person and too small to make change happen, I will remind you of something the Dalai Lama once said. Quote, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. It is the simple things we think, say, and do each day that shifts the world. I am butterfly. Thank you.
Michelle Avonte. Thank you so much to think about. I'd like us to take a few minutes now to give ourselves an opportunity to do just that. We're going to take a short period of silence, a few words for you, and some silence, and some chords of music from Sean Shea, and then music. As we enter that silence, allow yourself to reflect on some of what Michelle Avonte wanted us to remember. That as we breathe, let us focus on affirming what we love and what we cherish and what inspires us no matter what. And let us put fear on notice that our hearts, minds, and spirits will not accept its invitation. For that is what faith is. Focusing on what one affirms in the face of fear.
return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you are. Born and reborn again. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul.
Our closing words for today come from Peter Santos and Everything I Wanted to Know About Spirituality. The spiritual freedom we seek, he says, cannot be found grasping at, retreating to, or protecting our perceived safe spaces. Our freedom lies in remaining open continuously to life's changes, to the divine light within us, and the light in others. This is our choice, our path, and our responsibility. As I extinguish the chalice, think on these words. Let us be brave and loving. Between the dawn and the dusk of our living, let us be brave and loving. In our passage through the light, let us sustain and forward the human venture. And each day, let us remember our UU principles in service, in thought, in action, and in deed. And with that thought, we extinguish the chalice and take our message out to the world, 1057. Go lift it up. Please join us.